Greetings, everyone. My name is Barbara Culberson. I'm the program manager for Family Strengthening Families, and it is time for our Parent Talk at Discovery Center podcast. We want to welcome you today, and here with me, of course, Joey is always Joey.
I'm Joey Ford, the Family and Community Outreach Specialist.
I'm Royan Bell with Project Care here at the Discovery Center.
And we have some very special guests with us today from the Mississippi Tobacco Coalition, and I just want them to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about their program, what they have to offer, and we are just excited to have you ladies with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet, you want to start?
Okay, my name is Janet Turman. I'm with the Mississippi Tobacco Free Coalition for Oktibbeha, Clay, and Lowndes County. These are the counties I serve.
And my name is Lynn McCafferty, and I'm with Mississippi Tobacco Free Coalition of Attala, Leake, and Winston counties.
All right. So, ladies, this I know we've been having a good time here on set, but this is really a serious topic, and so we always like to have some fun moments, but it's a serious topic. So I wanted you to kind of just give us some opening remarks about what it is that you do through your program, what it's all about, and then for our audience, so it may be something that's beneficial for them to know going forward what we're going to be talking about today.
All right, the Mississippi Tobacco Free Coalition is on a mission to combat vaping and cigarette smoking. Several ways we're doing this is just by educating parents, and we're also educating children against the dangers of vaping. Many parents don't understand or they think that there's no addictive measures with vaping, but there are. It's an extremely addictive substance, more than heroin or cocaine, which is very frightening. It damages the children's growing brains. It's not a vapor, and we'll probably talk more about that, but there's so many dangerous compounds to vaping, and we really hope to educate you and answer your questions.
All right. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Jan, did you have anything you want to share before Royanne and I have lots of questions.
Good.
We are the question kings and queens around here.
We'll just go ahead and get kicked off then.
Okay. All right. So, we were so impressed. We saw you do a presentation for community counseling for the systems of care program. It was awesome, and it was enlightening for us because all those things you talked about, we didn't. I'm gonna say, let me just put I didn't know. So we thought this would be great for our parents or for anyone that around children. And so one of the things that we want to talk about is why is vaping so dangerous? Because it seems like the kids love doing it.
They do. It's the latest thing. The big dangers of vaping is, of course, it's so addictive. It's a gateway drug. It affects the child's brain. We have something in our brains called dopamine, and that makes us all happy. And when you vape or when you use any kind of nicotine product, it goes right to your brain, and then your brain says, hey, I have to have more of this to make myself happy. So that is why it's addictive. They want that feeling again. Children also can get a high off of this when they first start vaping. And of course they want more, they want that high. It's just like if you had a cigarette the first couple times, you get a high feeling. Well, with vaping, it's so concentrated and it's so strong that they get that feeling and they got to have it again. So that's what we're working against. We're working for educating these parents so that they know what they're looking for, and educating the children so they know what's going in their bodies, because they have no idea.
So it's almost like any other drug, because when you try it one time and then you're trying to get that first high again. Right. So that's what vaping is like, trying to get that first high again that you're never going to get.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're never going to get it again.
You mentioned the gateway drug. For those who don't know what that means, explain that for us.
Okay, if you were going to use a vape, and you got a high, but then you couldn't get that high anymore. You have to find something else to substitute to get that high. So you would go to another substance,
All right.
which could be a drug. And that's what we're trying to keep from. These kids are vaping so many different things. Right now, the CBD is real big. The marijuana, that's really big right now, and you can get that in so many different forms that are available to children, and they're being marketed by the big tobacco companies who own these vape companies. They're making them like gummies and candy, and they're packaging them exactly. I wish I had a picture of, if you know what a gummy Sour Patch Kid container looks like. It's yellow, bright. It looks exactly like that, but inside is a CBD product that they can chew, like a gummy. And these are being offered to children. Why else would they package them like this if they weren't focusing on a child?
Right.
And these big tobacco companies, they want these children. They have to have somebody to purchase their products.
Okay. So I think I noticed on the presentation, you talked about some other little type of gadgets and things like that. It may look like a watch or something, if I remember correctly, but it's really something they can bake with. Like, kind of talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Janet, you want to talk about that? Okay. They can look like an ink pen, exactly like an ink pen. They'll look just like this, just like an ink pen. They can look like eye watches, just like the watch I have right now. They can vape from that. What happens is, like I said, these big tobacco companies give these things to children so that they can disguise it and vape around adults or vape in school. That's the big deal. They've got the money to come up with these products. What are some other things, Janet?
They also make clothing now where you can disguise it, where they like a hoodie. There's places, pockets for the student to disguise it where the teacher doesn't see it. And when you was talking about addiction or what the gateway is, one thing I wanted to point out was, research shows us that it doesn't take but about 3 times to that child or that student is addicted, and then they start wanting it. So they're thinking they're not targeting our age group because we're really too old. They want somebody young. And so they say, if I can get you addicted, then at that point we'll go. You see what I'm saying? And that's why they use the Sour Patch Kids and the Twizzlers and different things, approaches. But the clothing is something really targeted to them. You also got like what the something that's really indisguisable would be like the freezer, the little things, the disk drives that you put in the computers, because you would have those in school, the jump drives. So, and they make them all different sizes. They're cute, they're colorful, they're very attractive, and that's what they're really trying to do, to make them. You could even purchase, I don't know if your children are into Fortnite or different games, but they make skins to go over them to disguise them to your preference, to really target that group.
Okay. Well, tell me, because there are some out there who believes that the gummies somewhat help ADHD. Is there any truth to that?
Well, that's what they're advertising. And they calm you down. I can read you one of the ads right now. For those looking for a psychoactive effect, the Delta 9 THC without worrying about the legalities, Delta 8 THC gummies from hemp have been a lifesaver. However, Delta 9 lovers may now have a new legal option, hemp-derived Delta 9 gummies, which are now available here at Galaxy Treats. And they can get these things right off of the internet. All they have to do is click that they're 18, and they can get them right off of the internet. They're just doing everything they can to disguise. Another big thing that looks like a skull container are the evergreen pouches. Most of them are in wintergreen, evergreen, blackberry, raspberry, all different colors and flavors. They're mouth pouches full of nicotine, and they can just put them in their mouth. You can not know that they've got them in there, but they're getting their nicotine and they're high through that. So they just come up with all kinds of treats.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here thinking, what are the regulatory agencies doing about it?
Well, the money talks. They FDA has said that it's okay, but it's not in the heated form. As soon as you heat it, it becomes a different product. So the FDA is only saying it's okay in the non-heated form. So that's how they're getting around that.
And
Yeah.
so this is almost like insulting. Because I mean, they're gonna heat it. I mean,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
gonna, I mean, what do you okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
You see, Ryan, we're on our bandwagon now.
yeah.
Okay.
It's an easy wagon to jump on.
Yeah.
It's just because there's so much money in big tobacco,
Mhm.
and they don't care. They don't care if a child's brain doesn't develop. They don't care if somebody becomes addicted. All they want is that big money. And it's big money. And that big money talks. And it's dangerous big money.
Yeah.
We teach Catch My Breath in schools, and we'll probably be talking about that a little bit. But in that, there's a video with big tobacco, and they get out of their cars, and their heads are like cigarettes, and all the money starts coming down, and they talk about how they don't care. We don't care about anything. We just want that money. And the kids relate to that, and they are really interested in that little video. But it shows just how big tobacco companies are and how much power they hold.
So I know that for alcohol, even cigarettes, you have to have an age. So is there an age
There
limit
is.
restriction on this?
There is. It's 21. But like anything else, there's always somebody that can buy it for you. And a lot of parents are buying these vapes because they think that there's no nicotine in them, that they'll do this rather than smoke. Well, it's bad. It's not good. There's nicotine in every vape product.
Wow. Well, that's why we started off by talking about this being such a serious topic, because it can really get you down.
Oh, it can.
Because it's like, how do you get a handle on this with your children? If I'm a parent, what are some things that you would suggest for a parent to look out for or to do in order to prevent or even bring correction if the child is already vaping?
I would say educate yourself. Get on the internet and find out all you can about vapes, about what products are out there, what they're using, what to look for. Children as young as kindergarten are bringing these to school. They're just so readily available. I always tell my students that if they ever see a vape laying on the ground, get something, a paper towel, pick it up and throw it in the garbage can. Because if a toddler would get a hold of that, they could get nicotine poisoning, and that could kill them. So, and if you look around Starkville, you'll see vapes laying all over the ground because they're disposables. So they just throw them out. They'll just throw them out. And if a child would pick that up, put that in their mouth, there's probably still some nicotine in that, and that could kill them.
Are they being sold at vape stores, or are they sold at
Everywhere.
convenience
Convenience
stores?
stores,
Wow.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
It sounds like you say on the internet as well, they could just click that they're 21 and
That's
and
all
buy
there's to it.
yeah. So how is it that students are able to do this so easily at school? Help our teachers out.
Okay. A student can be vaping and the teacher unaware. They put their head down. We do know in schools that the most common places that you'll see a student vape is on the school bus, in the locker room, out where there's not cameras. Okay. There are things put in place. And like we say, as Lynn's will talk about, the schools are really dealing with how we handle the punishment when a student's caught with vapes. But they can lay their head down, teacher turns her back, then they can inhale. You see what I'm saying? When the child it's very easy to disguise it, if you don't know. And then the teacher turned back around, because we've had students say, well, yeah, they vape in the class.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's easy to disguise it from the teacher.
Is there a scent, or is just no scent? Or?
It is a scent, you know, we talked about there's over 6,000 different flavors out there. And with that, it doesn't necessarily have a tobacco smell about it. Depending on what flavor you get, it can smell like strawberry or candy, any type of flavor that you want or that you like, because they're targeting that market. That's what flavor it will be. As far as at one time, you know, some people would say, I don't smoke because I don't like the smell of it. I don't like it in my clothes. But it's talking about a different smell, you know, so you wouldn't have that smell.
And that it doesn't have the big plume of vapor. It doesn't have that anymore for those small disposables. So that's easily discussed. I always said it smelled like juicy fruit gum.
It does.
Wow, something
Or
that
cotton
attract
candy.
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cotton candy. It's a good smell. I mean, you know.
Wow. Yeah. So, what I guess I would ask you, what have you seen as some of the challenges for bringing awareness to parents and to communities, and trying to get this message out here to parents and caregivers? Sometimes, you know, we have grandparents taking care, you know, relatives, friends. What have you seen as some of the challenges for being able to raise awareness on this?
Can I just give a few numbers first?
Yes, you can.
All right. No, I just want to kind of say, in the state of Mississippi, this is according to the CDC, in the state of Mississippi, over 5,400 people have died in last year, in 2019, based on tobacco-related deaths. So
Say
some
that
type,
one more time.
5,400 people
Mhm.
in Mississippi have
Mhm.
died because of tobacco-related deaths.
So
And that was 2000,
unnecessary.
unnecessary, preventable.
Mhm.
We're talking about preventable, that could be prevented.
Yes.
So that was in 2019.
Mhm.
We also know that according to the CDC, approximately 27.7, almost 28%, so we're talking about 1 out of 4 high school students have used some type of tobacco product. Okay, so we know that. We also know that in high school, based on the numbers that we've received through the Mississippi data information, we know that approximately 34% of high school students have tried an e-cigarette. So you're talking about 1 out of 3 have tried.
Mhm.
Well, we know middle school numbers seem to be growing. It used to be about 10%, but that's the category that numbers really are growing.
Mhm.
All right, we understand that cigarette smoke is going down, but what they're doing is turning to the vaping.
Wow.
Okay, it's very hard to track when we talk about disposables. It's very hard to track how much are you actually consuming. If I was a smoker and somebody asked me how much do I smoke, and I said I smoke a half a pack. Well, with vaping, it's very hard to say how much do you vape. Well, they don't know because they take a hit and a hit and a hit, depending on how much. So it's very hard to detect how much actually they are.
Mhm. Wow.
There's lots of a problem that we see is that people just really don't think that it's dangerous. You know, that's one of the biggest problems. And just not being educated. We are working in the schools with the program Catch My Breath. It is an awesome program. We were talking earlier, Dr. DeNoble has done videos for this and lots of research on vaping. And if you go to YouTube and put in Dr. DeNoble, you can learn a lot about vaping from the pro. He is the one that knows everything about it, knows everything it can do to your child's body. And it's important that you take the time to go look at those things. We're out here, but there's just not enough of us out there. There's more commercials on TV. You've probably seen them. Vape commercials, they're out there. These kids are being bombarded on the internet. So that's a big problem. Social media is a horrible problem. They're just bombarding them. And they may have that tiny little print that says these could be an addictive substance, but it's like this tiny. And then they've got this really cool commercial with the best looking people and the sharpest clothes and the neatest car. You know, kind of like they used to have cigarette commercials back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're just making them look like they're the most wonderful thing. So
Mm.
that's something hard to fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just thinking too, and that's why we really, when we saw this presentation they did, it was so awesome. We wanted to bring it to our parents as well and to the people that subscribe to our podcast, because it sometimes it's not because a parent may want to be a good parent.
Mhm.
They're not trying to be, someone that's inappropriate or whatever, but they may be in denial about
Right.
what's going on with their child. And I find that sometimes that's a struggle to get parents to recognize that, yeah, to be open-minded and to be able to take a close look at what may or may not be going on with your child or with their friends.
Mhm.
Because even if they're not eventually, if their friends are in a minute, just let them keep hanging out with them.
Right.
It's going to happen. So we want to make sure, I think that's one of the things we want our parents to be aware of what may be happening and not be in denial about what may be happening, because we do find that sometimes.
Mhm.
And that doesn't make you a bad parent, but what it does make you, you need to be an informed parent. You can deny something, but it doesn't change it. It doesn't change the fact that it's happening. This tablecloth is black, and I can deny it all day long that it's black. It's still black
Right.
until I accept the fact that this is the color of this table and start dealing with it. If I don't want a black tablecloth, then I need to go do what I got to do to not have it. I need to go
Exactly.
get me a white one or whatever, a gray one, a blue one. But denial is not an option for a parent that because the child is still at risk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So anybody else?
Yes, you mentioned about programs in the school. What is one of your current programs that you're offering?
The biggest
That's
one we're doing right now is Catch My Breath, and it is an evidence-based program, and it is fabulous. It hits the kids right where they live. They understand it. They have little group activities that they do. We go in and we're in there 2 to 3 days. We spend time with them. We teach them everything we know about cigarettes through this program. And this program has lots of videos with Dr. DeNoble, like I talked about. They're fast, they're interesting, they're like the video games that the kids all relate to. And this is what they need to see. Schools can get Catch My Breath in their systems. Their teachers have to do a training program. And this is probably what's going to happen because there's not enough of us to teach it. We will go in the schools and we will teach Catch My Breath, but we can't teach them all of them. We wish we could, but we can't. But the schools can adopt this program. And we're not salesmen for it, but it's a great program. It really is.
Is there a cost?
There is not a cost. CVS is a sponsor. Texas University is a sponsor. And a lot of the services that come through this Catch My Breath are all donated.
Awesome.
So
Great.
yes, they're very good.
So I guess I want to ask you, and then you all be thinking of any final questions or comments you may have. But what would you say to a parent that believes that vaping is less harmful than regular tobacco?
Janet?
Well, you know what, it does say, the problem I got with that is vaping depends on what's being put in there. And as I mentioned a while ago, it's very hard for somebody to say how much you're vaping. Okay. With that, also, parents, when we was talking about problems that we see, a lot of times parents will have vaping, they'll have e-cigarettes or the vaping devices there. The child, just by wanting to show it off, will pick it up and take it to school. And then that becomes the problem. Not necessarily that they're using it, but especially when we're talking about the younger grades, it's more, let me show, a show and tell type thing. So we do see that a lot. As far as the safety of it, as Liam mentioned, the child's brain is still developing up until the age of 25. So no addiction of any kind, no product like nicotine is going to cause damage to it. And it causes it almost like rewires the brain. So it is a problem that as parents, we all have to know what's there.
We're trying to educate schools now to change the way they discipline students. And we have a program that we're telling people to use in ISS. So if a child is caught vaping, usually they say, you're suspended. Well, then they go home and they vape more. So what we're saying is change your policy. Let's do, Stanford has a great program where it's a self-guided program. So if they're in ISS, use that program. Instead of having them sit there and do nothing, have them at least learn while they're there, learn what the dangers are, instead of going home and just vaping some more. And we talked about, it's probably a pretty good program for a lot of things.
Yeah. And they're losing instruction time. by
Right,
doing that.
right,
Yeah, what, does it do any damage to the heart or lungs?
yes.
I know you talked about the brain, which is kind of, but what,
Put you at a higher risk for heart disease or heart attacks, anything like that. You're just going to speed the process up. There's so many health issues related to it.
Yeah, anytime you put anything in your lungs that has that many chemicals in it, over 8,000 chemicals,
Wow.
you're gonna have some trouble. And we've had 25 years to study cigarettes. But what if, 25 years from now, we may be saying the same things about vape as we are about cigarettes. And right now they're seeing some effects. My daughter-in-law is a dental hygienist, and she called me and she said, hey, I'm seeing lots of people come in with rotted teeth in the front, and it's from vaping. So it's tearing up their teeth. A lot of high school girls you can get with that one because they don't want their teeth messed up.
Right.
But there's lots of problems that come with vaping.
Right. Well, did any of you have any other additional questions before we?
No, I just wanted to thank these ladies for
Thank
all that
you.
they're doing, because it's a subject it's just new. It's new to parents, it's new to us. So thank you for getting that information out there.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
So do you all have any, did we miss anything that you wanted to cover, that you would like to share? Any final remarks?